Will there be a second stimulus package? Okay. And I am saying to you, I'm predicting to you, yes, with some caveats. But let me share what I'm sharing inside of the post here per a Huff Post article. Congress has aggressively worked toward and has a goal to complete another stimulus package dubbed CARES 2 by May 4th. Now, May 4th literally is like next week, okay? So, I shared with you last week all the different proposals that were on the table, right? Trump was asked, the president was asked about, will there be a second stimulus package? And he said, we're strongly considering. In fact, let me tell you exactly what he said. He goes, President Donald Trump has not ruled it out. In fact, he stated, we could very well do a second round of direct payments. He said during a news conference on April 6th, it's absolutely under serious consideration. And again, the article where he's actually saying that on video is in the body of this post. Now, here's the thing though. There were 4 proposals on the table, as I shared with you last week. The primary proposal that they're looking at is called the Emergency, it's actually called Emergency Money for the People Act, better known as EMPA. Now, let me give you the specifics. Now, keep in mind, I just shared with you that they're working toward this aggressively as of now, when people actually come back, they're going to work toward the March 4th deadline to kind of let you know, I'm letting you know what date you should be kind of like really tuning in to see whether or not something is going to pass. But let me give you the specifics of the Emergency Money for the People Act. So basically what is proposed, and of course, this is proposed to the House primarily by the Democrats, and you can read who actually proposed it in the article link below. $2,000 per month to U.S. citizens and residents over the age of 16 who earn $130,000 or less. After the first 6 months, the program could be renewed for an additional 6 months unless the employment to population ratio reaches a pre-COVID level of 60%. Okay? So, in other words, unemployment has to come down, right? And based on the population, and COVID-19 levels have to come down as well. Now, here's the second point to this. $2,000 per month could be adjusted for different types of tax filers. Now, listen specifically to what I'm sharing with you here, okay? Married filers who earn $260,000 or less annually could get $4,000 per month. I don't know too many people that make $260,000 per month. In fact, I think that would put you closer in like somewhere in between the 1-3% tile in this country, and as far as earnings go. Now, the rate for 2 individuals, in other words, the payment phase out by 5% for each $1,000 over that threshold. So what does that mean? That means if you're a married couple and you are, or an individual, right? If you're an individual making over $130,000, right? Or if you're a married couple making over $260,000, the married couple would get $2,000 per month. Okay, the individual would get $2,000 per month for 6 months, and the married couple would get $2,000 times 2 if both of them are working. If they make under $260,000 per year. Now, it would phase out by 5% for each $1,000 over. In other words, if you make $261,000 as a married couple, then 5% of the $4,000 will be reduced. And for every $1,000 over that, it reduces the amount money paid directly to you, reduces by 5. For every $1,000 reduces by 5%. Now, I know that sounds a bit complicated, but just think of it this way. The more money you make, you get for every $1,000 you make over the threshold as an individual, a single individual of 130,000, or married couple at 260,000. For every $1,000 you make, you get 5% less. So if you got 5% less, if you made $131,000 as a single individual and you made $131,000, you would take that $2,000 you get, multiply it times 5%, and whatever that is, they would subtract that from the $2,000. Now, it's not that complicated. Trust me. Most people are going to qualify for the maximum based on knowing how much people get paid in this country and how this country doesn't pay people a lot of money. And that's just my personal opinion. Now, let me finish telling you a little bit more about this, okay? The second part of that, $2,000 per month figure would be adjusted for different tax filers, and I just said that to you, right? Payments would also, in other words, adults would also receive an additional $500 per month for every child dependent, up to a maximum of $1,500. So what does that mean? Let me just basically break it down to you with some numbers. So that means that if you are a married person, okay, and you make less than $260,000, you and your wife, you and your husband, or wherever you are, okay, along the line, but you're married, then for every child you have, they would add $500 on to what you would get. So as a married couple, you get $4,000. They add $500 per child. That's $4,500 up to 3 children, because it's only $1,500 they'll give you. So the maximum amount of money that you could qualify for as a married couple, and no worries, I'm going to do a single person here in just a second, okay? Would be $4,000 plus $1,500 for a total monthly income paid directly to you for 6 months stimulus. If the emergency money for the People Act actually passes, right, would be $5,500. If you're an individual making under $130,000, that would be $2,000. And if you had 3 children, that would be $2,000 plus $1,500, making a total maximum of what you could get paid per month stimulus for 6 months from the government at $3,500. Now, I know you got that, right? So I've already shared with you that the president is actually open to it. He actually mentioned it in a briefing, a White House briefing, news conference on April 6th. But he didn't necessarily agree to the Emergency Money for the People Act, but he agreed that, or said that he's strongly considering a second round of stimulus. Now, here is why I'm thinking that this is going to happen. Now, let me tell you why. Now, I want you to follow me here. Why I'm thinking that this is going to happen, okay? It may not necessarily be these numbers, but why a second stimulus check is going to happen. First factor is there are 30 million people filing for unemployment, okay? 30 million. Yes, 30 million people have filed for unemployment, right? Second thing is, got to read it to you. Keep this name in mind. Chairman Jerome Powell. He is the Federal Reserve Chairman. He just announced that he will increase bailouts for Main Street lending programs. In other words, for companies, and I'm gonna read it to you exactly how he said it. The Feds announced, how the article said it. The Feds announced that they will now accept loans up to 6 times the earnings, what they call EBITDA, right? With a rate around 3.5% for companies with up to $5 billion in revenue up from $2.5 billion and up to 15,000 employees, up from 10,000 employees. Okay, so forget all of that. Let me tell you what it means in simple language, okay? In simple language, it means this. Jay Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, says, okay, all of you big companies out there who have had to furlough workers, who have had to lay off workers, who basically, need a lifeline right now. And I'm not talking about the PPP, which is for the small business, okay? And then I'm actually going to address minority-owned businesses, specifically black businesses. I'm going to address that next week because there's a crap load of inequity going on there with the PPP, all right? I'm definitely going to address that. So keep me to my word, all right? But what the Fed is saying, Jay Powell is saying that we're going to lend you money 6 times the amount of your earnings. Okay? And we also said that you can have employees up to 10,000. Now we're going to increase that up to 15,000. Why? Because we need to put money into the economy, into your business, so we can get people back to work. Okay? Now you might be saying, well, AJ, why is this a good sign? Well, let me tell you. Remember yesterday I went on my little rant and I basically told people to get the hell off my feed if they thought that me sharing information with how to help Americans or how to help anyone in this country, whether you're classified as a legal American or not, it doesn't really matter. You're part of this family, okay? We're all family. So I basically told the person to kiss my ass, get off my feed, all right? Because I'm here to help. So I am making a prediction that by May 4th, you're going to hear something positive on this. Because if the Fed, Jay Powell, Fed chairman, is saying, we're going to pump as much money as we possibly can into this economy to keep it rolling, then guess what? 30 million Americans filing for unemployment and small businesses failing who have to lay off workers, where that could possibly increase the number of people filing for unemployment, and even the bigger companies, the mid-sized enterprise companies, the large companies, right? The more people that they unemploy, right? Then the less money it's going to be to actually spend in the economy. So the reason why I'm saying that I'm honestly believing that this is going to pass, or some semblance of it, depending on the negotiations between the House and the Senate. In other words, Nancy Pelosi / Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell. The reason why I'm saying that something is going to come together and why I'm confident that something is going to pass that result in a second stimulus check is purely based on the fact that the Fed, Jay Powell, chairman, is investing into via loans at very, very small interest rates, investing into this economy so people can partake of those services. Because the more monies that are in companies can keep their people employed. Because remember, I said we're all economically connected, right? Keep their people employed, pay them, right? Which, if you're keeping people employed, then it brings down the unemployment rate, right? Or the number of people filing for unemployment. And those people that are working because more money has been pumped into these companies can now take that money and go out and participate in the economy by purchasing goods and services from other companies, right? But you need a lifeline. The lifeline to the business is what Jay Powell said, the chairman of the Fed, what he said by giving these loans. And so, because so many people are furloughed or unemployed at this time, then money needs to come to them in a way so they can go participate in the economy. Hence, this is why I think, and I'm predicting, that a second stimulus check will be on the way soon. All right? So, before I get out of here, I want to also share, because there's been a huge problem with people actually receiving their money. So this is what's on the table for how the money will be distributed once a second stimulus check is approved. Now, keep in mind, the second stimulus check is for if the what they call it the EMPA, Emergency Money for the People Act, if that does pass, then it's only for 6 months, and then they're reevaluated based on the number of COVID cases, based on the number of unemployment, et cetera, et cetera. There's a crap load of factors that they have to look into. But understand this. How they're going to distribute the money for those 6 months, if this thing does pass, will be via check, direct deposit, and other payments such as Venmo and PayPal. So this will, through those other forms of payments, really cut down on all of the confusion and why people haven't received the stimulus checks. Because it is absolutely freaking unbelievable that people have not received stimulus checks as of yet. And of course, please go to my live from yesterday that's in this feed, where I talked about how to access to get my payment, get my stimulus payment portal. Click on the IRS tab within the IRS website. Click on that tab, get my payment, and then provide your information, or at the very least, check the status of your check if you have not received it. Okay? And as a reminder, SSI and VA beneficiaries, you have until May 5th to file for the non-filer that's, say, a dependent, like a child or something, or some dependent in your house that you're taking care of and that you claim on your taxes. You have until May 5th to do that. That link is in the posts prior to this one as well. And lastly, if you have not received your payment, such as, and if you're on like SSI or disability or railroad retirement or something like that, right? Just know that those stimulus checks, according to the article that I shared with you, okay, in the feed that's below this live, they should be coming by mid-May. All right. So thank you, everyone, for checking in. I appreciate you sticking with me. I'm AJ, your host of the Startup Junkie. Be sure to check out the Startup Junkie live show every Monday through Friday. That time is between 11 and 11:30. That's when we come on Central. And be sure to check out our podcast, okay, on Apple iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, as well as iHeartMedia. It is the Startup Junkie live show. And please do me a favor. Share this post. Let me say it in a deeper voice. Please share this post. 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 And be sure to follow me. If you're watching on Facebook right now, be sure to follow me on the Anthony AJ Johnson. That's my entrepreneur page. Be sure to add me. Be sure to, if you're on YouTube, sign up for the notifications, subscribe. And speaking of YouTube, within this post is my YouTube link. We just started it. I ask you to sign up. I got 7 subscribers now. Yes, I know it's low, but we just started it. But I'm posting content pretty much on a daily basis. All right. So appreciate everyone for checking out this show. I'm going to leave you with my new intro. Take care.